So after the landing page of an article is done, or not really the landing page, this might be the landing page of the home channel, which shows details using a content item component. I want to go through the steps on linking an item in a list to the details page, to like what we used to do with the hidden page. So this involves creating a new template that maybe has a different layout. So the first step here is to clone the existing template and then associate that template to a content type instead of to a channel. So here I can go to Presentation, Templates. I can take my existing template and clone it, and we'll call this a details page. So RL details. And we might want to use a different menu item. We'll use the details menu item. That gives us a unique context in Portal and in WIM. The context in WIM is coming from the channel, and then we have a separate container in Portal for rendering that. Now, the display view, or the page layout, I might not want to use right now. And I may want to limit the number of regions on this template. I might want to just do a simple page that shows the details that doesn't necessarily have a banner, for example. So maybe I'm going to remove the banner region on that template to do something different. So we've got 3 regions, 0, 1, and 2, and then we've given it a nice name. And we've taken away the display, the page layout. So I'll save and close that template. I'll go ahead and approve it and share it. And this is probably a case where you wouldn't share a template to the sites because you wouldn't want to show a business user this template. It's not something you want them to select. It could create problems. So this is one of those situations where we just simply won't share it. We'll have to manually go search for it in our association to the type. But that's okay. So once that's done, then I need to associate that template to a type. And we do that in the site's properties. So I go to my properties, I go to my site, I go to my site properties, and I go to associations. And at the very bottom of the associations tab, you're going to find the area where this is done, and it's simply called associations. So I'm going to associate this, a type like product for example, with a format and a template. And this is not shared, so I have to go find it. And I'm going to use the details template. Site presentation, we're not going to touch anything else. We're just going to add this association between the product content type using the web format and this specific template that has a different layout maybe or a different look and feel. And I'll click Save and Close. And now everything's connected. So if I click on an instance of product in the site, it's going to take me to that new template. So we can test if this is going to work by clicking on one of the content instances here that is actually linking to that content item. For example, you remember in our display view for the banner, we have a link URL that points to the details of this content item, which is being presented as a banner. If I click on this, it should take us to the template. Now, obviously it doesn't look very great, but that's normal. We are missing a few things. But I want to be sure I'm actually on the right template. So I'm going to go into Design, and I'm going to click Current Template just to see what template I'm being presented with. And we can here see that it's good news because we're actually seeing the RL details template. And you'll notice there's only 3 regions. I can go back to the page view. You'll also notice that one of those components that were already on the template, if I go into page view, one of those regions doesn't have a component on it. So what I need to do is perhaps lock that region onto the template. That's probably a good idea. because it is a template scoped region normally. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a few changes to the template. And we could do this in the workspace, but a really convenient way to do this is right inside the template tree. So I'm going to leave the page layer. I'm going to edit the current template. And once I'm in template edit mode, I'm going to go into page mode. And when you're in page mode, you have this nice little template tree. This allows us to make changes to the regions. You can see the navigation is locked, footer is locked, but let's go ahead and edit this region, the RL content region, or perhaps even put a different component on it. So maybe this region in the context of this template, I'm going to lock it. And I'll go ahead and click Save. And even just simply click Save and Close. I could review the components that are allowed, and those seem fine. I could make sure there's nothing hard-coded there at the template layer and click Save and Close. So now all of those regions are locked. Now I can drag and drop. I can leave the template tree and insert a new component onto that template scoped region. I'm going to use a content item component at the template, but I'm going to use the advanced option. Let the system select it for me. We kind of think of that as automatic. It's going to pick the content based upon the context. In other words, the content item that someone clicks on. The appearance, we can use our display view that we used before. That's okay, because it should work. And then I click Save and Close. Now I have a kind of a dynamic component there that's going to show the details of the content. Alright, it's still not very pretty because we need to apply things like layouts, but we're getting there. The next step to improve our page is to assign a layout. And remember, we removed one of the regions, so I need to remove the support for that region in the layout. So I can go ahead and reuse the code that we used for our home page. So I'll make a copy of that, and then I'll call it, RL details layout, for example. And then in that details layout code, I'm going to just do a really simple change, and I'm going to remove anything that we don't support. So we have navigation, we have details, we have footer, we don't have a banner. So I could just simply remove this entire div and leave everything else. I'll have to adjust the region fragments appropriately. So the number 1, that's the content region, and number 2 is now the footer. So this is a really typical thing. Once I make a change to the code, then I go to my workspace to go create a new layout. So go to Workspaces, Presentation, Layouts. I'm going to copy or clone the existing layout, and this will be our details layout. And this has a slightly different name, RL details layout.jsp. I could even use the same style sheet or a different one, but for the moment I'll go ahead and use the same style sheet. Now we can change that, of course. And I'll click Save and Close. I'll go ahead, I don't want to share this because this is not a layout that I want a business user to select, so I'm not going to share it. I will approve it though. And then I'll go associate that layout to the appropriate format. So this is a situation where we don't normally do this at preview. This is a hard-coded page layout that will actually associate directly to the template. So I'll go to my templates now. I'll go to my RL details template, and I'm going to tell that template to use a specific style sheet through a layout. So I'll come down to my layout and I'll select the layout that has now been made available. So there's our details layout, which has one less div, slight difference. We don't have any themes yet, but we have a lot of look and feel. It's in the style sheet on the layout. So this is an example of where themes are not needed because we're putting look and feel into the structural style sheet, and that's okay. But it depends upon the business case and the kind of activities the editors are going to be doing. Just going to review this template. Navigation, content, footer. And remember, our content region has on it an automatic content item. Let's save and close this. Make sure I approve. And now that we have a layout, we can go to our preview and test it to see if it works. So to test it, to test that link between a content type, the product content type, or instances of that type with this new details template, which is associated to a details layout, we just click on one of those content items here to see if it goes to the right place. And it seems to work. It's going to the details page. Notice there's no banner anymore. That's a good sign. There's some little funny things here. You'll notice that that div is a little bit scrunched up. So we need to go into our code and maybe add a span or do something to compensate for that banner being gone. So it looks like it created a little problem for us. But that's okay, we can fix that in the code pretty easily. But that's the overall view of connecting a content instance with a specific hidden details page.